Bada bing. Segment 6 is here. Oh, I started too early. Bada bing. Segment 6 is here. Starting to get a little wacky. So, and still have a long way to go. We are going to start getting a little bit busier. We have got some fantastic partners, some fantastic guests coming on. Huh. Speaking of some fantastic people, it's one of my favorite people in the world. I love talking to this lady. Um, she's one of our partners. And when I mentioned that we were going to do this for the second year, Sandy was one of the first people who popped up and said, I'm in. I, I'm in. And SCA Bookkeeping is one of our partners. Right there is her little logo, and of course I didn't have time, Sandy. I am so sorry to make a personal background. I'll try to do it as we're talking, but I'm paying attention. But you know what's going on. But you know, Sandy Abbate is one of our partners, which means every time you shop with her, you can donate to somebody in need. Um, Now, with no more of me talking, I want to bring her on. Here's Sandy Abate. How you doing, sweetie?
Hi, Zach. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you.
Oh,
Because of you, we're able to do this again, and we're, um, you know, it's weird. It was one of those things that Sandy, I'm telling you, I felt like I was more prepared for this 2 months ago than I felt this morning. This
hmm.
morning I woke up going, geez, did I get everything? I forgot to invite Sandy. So,
Well, and I
and
think I signed up 2 months ago
yeah,
and completely lost all the information.
well, and it was actually kind of weird. I don't know how. I think I had to go back into our texts and read back into our text to find out exactly what time you were
Mhm.
wanting to come on, and I was like going, okay, well, this works perfect. So, but yeah, it's a pleasure. Like I said, you were one of the very first um, people who you said, look, this is important. I want to be part of this, and I can't tell you how proud I am that you guys as partners see the value in what we're trying to do, and really wanting to be part of this. Um, but before we go into a little more about what your feelings on the issue, I would like you to tell us a little bit about SCA bookkeeping. Tell us a little bit more about what you do and what makes you, other than being part of the community pay it forward family, what makes you special and what why people should hire you.
Right. Well, thank you, Zach. When I started SCA bookkeeping, I just had that small idea that I was going to go in there and help small businesses um, get their books in order and keep them in order because I had discovered so many small businesses don't. But since that time that I opened, it has grown so much. I'm now hosting an accountability training group called Get Your Books Done, which is going to give time to put on your calendar to actually sit down and do your books. And if you run into problems during that time period, I'm always around in the breakout or no, in the main room that you can come back and ask questions. There's going to be training times. There's going to be office hours. So it really is just an amazing part. And I've been thinking about how that really connects to our veterans. So many veterans come back and they're at that shell shock. They're not ready to go and actually, get an actual job, just because of some of the stuff, but they do have something to give. Now I'm sitting there working with a couple that sat there and, they're not ready to jump back into the workforce. So they're starting their own little small businesses. and I'm guiding them along um, those grounds. So, regardless where you are on your bookkeeping scale, SCA bookkeeping's there to help. So,
You you approach bookkeeping as a way that it's bookkeeping is so important for a small business,
hmm
and bookkeeping can be the death of a small business, can it not?
absolutely, absolutely. I think they say 80% of businesses that fail because of their cash flow, not keeping track of it.
What is one of the biggest mistakes you see small businesses make, and they end up putting themselves in vulnerable positions?
Not so much mistake, but they're not accountable. They sit there and say they're going to do it themselves, and they can do it themselves. They just have to make that time. A lot of times life gets busy, work gets busy, and they push it aside and they don't go to it. They don't keep it as much as we, keep an eye on the fuel tank on our vehicles. We need to be looking just as much at keeping those records up to date in full at that full line. So you know, not necessarily on a daily what your bank account is, but you know that you have X amount of money to spend on hiring that new contractor. You need X amount coming in. So when you go to bid on a job, you know what that is. So, day to day cash transaction knowledge is what you need.
If they're do you also like to work with nonprofits? Nonprofit bookkeeping is a lot different than normal bookkeeping, isn't it?
It is. It's a lot different. And as of right now, it's not something I'm trained in.
Okay. Yeah, I know that you really have to have somebody who
hmm
is, you know, damn near saintly to
hmm
have to deal with that, because there are so many laws, and the laws change so often. Um,
hmm
why did you get into bookkeeping? What was it about bookkeeping that, you know, um, it's one of those things that, I hear the term retired bookkeeper, or retired uh, um, oh geez, HR manager or something like that. You hear that all the time, because it's like, oh my god, I gotta get out of there because that was driving me crazy. Yet you're not that way. You are like, this is what I love to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I did. I went from managing different stores and restaurants to deciding that I had enough of, that employee manager position. So I stepped down and I went and worked into a hospital, and that's when it really showed me how many small business owners that I talked to had no clue what their numbers were because they weren't staying on top of it. They didn't understand the importance. To them, bookkeeping was just what needed to be done to get their taxes paid. Um, and then when the and at that time when I was working in the hospital, my job was to go in there and help people without the right insurance get their bills paid. I normally walked out of the room saying, you rest, take care of yourself, concentrate on getting better. We've got your bill taken care of. These small businesses, I couldn't reassure them like that because I didn't know their numbers because they didn't know their numbers. Then when the PPP loan rolled out, these were the same small businesses that failed because they couldn't get that PPP loan because they didn't know their numbers fast enough. Um, so when I ended up losing that job due to the pandemic, I sat there and said, I'm going to help those people. I'm going to make sure that those small businesses know their numbers so that when they are put into a situation, they know what they can and can't do. I want to give them back that power.
What what are some of the reasons why you felt so strongly like that you wanted to get behind um, this program? and and I know that one of the reasons why, well, let's be honest here, financial issues are one of the problems that lead to a lot of stress. um, and stress in business is not it's different than regular stress.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not just you who's thinking about, oh my god, is this guy screwing us, but it's you and everyone else that you work with. um and that goes for uh these men and women who come out of the service and they start a business, and a lot of times they start a business because they didn't have the education, um, because they were busy defending our country,
Mhm.
so they didn't have the time to go get that education, and they're like, you know what, I just spent 4 years in the service. I'll be damned if I'm going to spend another 4 years in school just to go get this job. I did it in the service, I'm just going to do it here on myself.
Right, right. So many of them do. They sit there, and I do. I feel like our school systems really don't prepare us for financial life outside of school. The military, granted, I know, because both my sons served, um, you know, yeah, it teaches them about credit and about, making sure that they don't blow everything that they made while they're overseas. Um, but it doesn't really prepare them to go back into entering the workforce or starting up a business. So really just to give them that support on, how to keep your expenses organized, while you're just starting out before you're making that income. Once you start to make that income, now what do I do? To all of a sudden, oh my God, my business is exploding. I don't have time to do my books anymore. There's, you know, 3 different levels of a business, and yeah, you need to have someone that can walk you through all 3 levels, I feel.
And let's put aside the fact that, you know what, well, obviously it's very smart because it's what you do for a living. How smart is it to have somebody who has no no dog in the fight? Allow them to do your books, because they're not the ones who are trying to find a way to uh, move money, hide money, do whatever. And I'm not trying to make it sound
Mhm,
like everyone's a
mhm.
criminal. I'm just stating the fact that, you know what, it's probably a lot easier. And you also have a promise that, you're going to be there to support them.
Mhm, mhm. Finding a good bookkeeper is a lot like finding a good mechanic. You know, they're not going to be sitting on the side of the road when your car breaks down. Um, but they take enough pride in what they do that you're going to be able to drive that vehicle from point A to point B successfully for many, many years. That's what a bookkeeper does for your business. They get things fixed so that, you're going to know that good cash flow. You're going to have that good budget, that good forecast going forward to make it to point A and beyond. So,
What 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 would you like to see people, if you could make up a list of things that people should do before they agree to start a business, what would be on the top of that list?
the top things for me when I sat there and decided I was going to start the business, I first went and got a good lawyer, made sure that I was setting it up correctly, and you know, that I had that protection for myself. Um, and then from there, it was to actually talk to a CPA. I feel it's important to work not just with a bookkeeper, but with your own tax preparer, um, and that the CPA and your bookkeeper do talk with each other, um, or talk to each other, because the bookkeeper, where they're setting the books up for you, they're also setting it up for your tax preparers, um, and it's in the long run is going to save you money. Um, but yeah, you want to sit there, know how much money you're putting into the business so that you can keep track of that cash flow. Make a list of your expenses. When you go to sign up for a new app, put that date on your calendar, that each month that's going to come out to where you're seeing it on your calendar each month, to where you can sit there and ask yourself, how much did I use that app that week or that month? Um, when you sign up for those new trials, you know, make sure that when that trial period's done, you don't forget on whether or not that app really solved the problem or not. It's those little expenses that's going to cost you.
I I know when that used to be a huge problem for me, is that somebody would convince me, hey, you know what, this is going to be the change in your business. And even though the little creature in my head said, no, it's not, you know, the other side of the brain went, why the hell not? And so I'd end up taking and signing into it and then forgetting about it. And then next thing I know, I'd have a charge for $300. And I'm like, whoa, no,
Mhm.
uh-uh. And yeah, and that is right there. That's lack of preparedness, and there's not a whole lot that I could do about it alone. So, but it was one of those things that I really wanted to. I agree with you that I think that that's one of the biggest things to try to avoid. Um, I know that you're extremely busy today, and like I said, I know that we've um, you know got you got a lot of work to do. You're going to be joining one of my groups, one of my favorite groups here in about 40 minutes, called the Brainy Brunch, and they're great. I love that. I love that group. But you also run other networking programs. Do you want to tell people
Mhm.
about them, and maybe we can get some people come to your networker?
Yes, yes, no. Brainy Brunches is one of my favorite groups, and we actually meet tomorrow, not today. So
Oh, okay. Well,
I was trying to think, it's like, Zach, don't do that to me. I can't think of where else I'm supposed to be in 40 minutes that you would be. I have a meeting with a client right after this. So yeah, you had me a little worried there. But I also co-host for the HMP Iowa group, and they meet right after Brainy Brunch tomorrow at 2 Central. So we got 1 Central covered, 2 Central covered, and um, I could go on and on with other groups there. But those are my top two groups right now, is Brainy Brunch and the HMP Iowa. So
well, as you can see, apparently my days are already running in together, and that's not good. There's
yes.
still a long way to go here, but um, when when you have somebody who comes to you with a problem that they are really struggling with, and it could lead to potential a a life changing question. Maybe it's somebody who's thinking, okay, I'm in trouble. I'm in a lot of trouble here. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. What do you do? What do you try to say to them? What is your position, and what is your thought? How?
Mhm. Mhm. Um, yeah, for me, the first thing I do is I ask them, if they're a religious person, because I feel that prayer is so important. And so we do. I stop and I pray with them if they're open to it. If they're not open to it, that's perfectly fine too. But most people appreciate that prayer. And then from there, we really do sit down and I, get out my notebook and my networking group and find, what their problem is and who's going to be the best to fix it.
Well, it's it is just amazing to me, and I wanted to thank Lawrence very much uh, for that. And thank you, Lawrence, for your service. I appreciate it. But you know, we we came together and we decided that we were going to work together because it's a passion of both of ours to make sure that other people are taken care of. Um, and I want to thank you very much for stepping up and like I said, you were one of the first people. I believe you were the first person to step up and say, "I'm in." All over I'm in on this. I want to and I want to thank you so much for that because you know what, you helped us get some radio ads played and helped us get some other things done. This is getting bigger and better next year. I honestly I hope we don't need it next year. I hope that we have no more uh, veteran suicides. That would be a dream of mine. I
Hmm.
would love to get to that day.
Yes.
But until we have none, I'm going to be here on the 22nd, or until I'm gone. I'm not going to come back and do this show. I'm weird. I'm not
It's
that weird.
a great cause. I think you should come back.
Well, this is really look. The numbers are different no matter where you look, but the
Hmm.
numbers, but the one number is that's true is it's too large.
Hmm.
There are too many that are taking their own lives. Our heroes give up their time, their lives, to go and defend our way of life, and it is our responsibility as civilians is to make sure that look, they
Hmm.
gave up for us. Let's give up a little bit for them because and if trying to discover the conversation by allowing
Hmm.
you to say what you just said, you know, maybe that's going to give somebody else the courage to stand up and talk to somebody, and that's a life saved. And
Absolutely.
I said this last year, and I truly mean this. We may not know if together in this 22 hours, we may not know if we're going to save a life today. I'd like to think we did, but we
Hmm.
may not know. All I do know is that we came together and hopefully we're starting a conversation for somebody else who didn't know how to start that conversation. So, and that right there, I think is the most important thing. But Sandy, I want to thank you so much for
Absolutely.
joining me. Uh, Enjoy everything tomorrow. If I can talk past my lips tomorrow, I might see you at the Brainy Brunch. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk
I
anymore,
was
Mom.
gonna say you're still gonna be sleeping.
That would be nice. So, but I do. I want to thank you very much.
So, and
Sandy, how do
thank you
they
for
get a
all
hold
you
of you?
do. Yes, they can reach out to me. I am on LinkedIn. They can also email me. It's just Sandy at scebookkeeping.com. So,
You know,
so
and
yeah, yeah. Come to the
I, I,
website.
again, this is um, this is vital for your business. So,
Hmm.
before you get into business, before you get into trouble, uh, go and see Sandy. See how she can help you. Because if you go and see Sandy, she can, she's going to tell you straight. Look, this is you're healthy, or maybe we need to look at something different. And
Hmm.
it's in nobody's best business for you to get into business to fail.
Right.
That's really kind of one of the things that we get set up here. So,
Hmm.
Sandy, again, thank you, my dear. I
All
appreciate it.
right.
I'll
Well,
hopefully see you tomorrow.
all right. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah,
And I'll
goodbye.
be here with you next year if we have to.
Sounds great. All right, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Yeah, goodbye. Sandy Abbate from SCAA Bookkeeping. Again, one of my great partners who simply give up a portion of their sales when you shop with them and to go to organizations like the organizations that we're helping today. I wanted to real quickly run down the organizations that we are helping today because hopefully here in a minute we are going to be joined by a representative from one of those organizations. The veteransranch.org is out of Florida. They concentrate on equine therapy. J.R. Smith, a really good friend of mine. We do a lot of talking, like myself, not a veteran, just a patriot who's trying to make sure that we were there, that we are here for the people who were there. I mean, the truth is that we're here because people like you raised your right hand. Far too few are doing that now. I can't talk a lot of crap about it because I didn't do it. Tell everybody all the time I didn't want to get yelled at. I didn't want to cut my hair. Now I'm a 51-year-old balding guy who's been married 3 times. I've seen plenty of getting yelled at. So check out the veteransranch.org and check them out and see what they got going on. Veterans Honoring Veterans is an organization here in Northern Colorado. I'm going to have Bart coming up soon, I thought. Oh, no, he's going to be coming up at 7 p.m. tonight after Richard Kaufman. But Veterans Honoring Veterans is an organization that gives a gift to anyone who's wore the uniform and served with dignity and respect, and it's a statuette. It's got all their service information on it. It tells people about who they are, what they did, and really gives them a chance to individualize what their statue looks like. I love Bart. I love the program. It's so fantastic. If you get a chance, Veterans Honoring Veterans.org. Project Die Hard. You guys have heard me talk about Project Die Hard many times. Project Die Hard takes, and what they do is they are putting together a FOB, a forward operating base. Each FOB is in memory of someone who has lost the battle. Each FOB is there to try to help someone who maybe needs a place to live. Maybe they need some counseling. Maybe they need education. Maybe they need job searching. What the FOB is going to do is they're going to give somebody the chance to go and be in one place, find themselves, rebuild, get to know who they are outside of the service, and go from there. Brian is one of the many, many people who was able to take and pull the gun out of his mouth. He's truly an inspiration to a lot of people, and Brian he works really hard to do what he's doing, and his passion sometimes overruns him, and he'll admit it, and right now they're one of all of these organizations. They need your help, so we're asking for you to support what we're doing here today by giving any donation that you can. If you can't give a donation, go to communitypayitforward.us, look under our verified giving partners, shop with one of them, and turn in your receipt and to us and say, this is for Community Mission to Rescue 22. Every receipt that comes in goes to all of these organizations. GIJosie.org, dealing with our female veterans who have not just the regular problems that the guys have to deal with. They have them, but then there's other issues, being passed over for things. There's sexual aspects and of sexual assault and harassment and all the other things that they have to deal with. A lot of them, just like you men, a lot of them are, as they are working with kids, challenge. It's tough. Look, it's tough for every single one of you, and I understand that. GI Josie works with the female veterans and tries to help them get up and running. Then you've got your Hope Advanced. Hope Advanced helps people uh, build the poor credit that happens. It happens, and clean up background checks. It's a wonderful program, spiritually led, and just a fantastic program. Colorado Springs, but they can go anywhere. And the very last one that we're going to be talking about right now is Healing Warriors program. And why are we going to be talking about this? Because of this beautiful lady. Hello, Janet.
Hi, sweetie.
How are you doing?
I'm always good. You?
I'm doing good, doing good. I don't know what day it is, but I'm doing good.
I was gonna say you're still somewhat upright, so it's like yay.
Yeah, I'm okay now. A little bit earlier, I was starting to fade. I
Kind of
really
feeling
was, but
it.
it was like, I kind of got like that. I kind of got like that second wind. Yeah, I don't do coffee, but
Ah,
I got that. So, but yeah. So, tell us about Healing Warriors.
so Healing Warriors program. We are a veteran nonprofit. We are located in Fort Collins. What we do, our main mission is suicide prevention. So we do that by treating the factors that lead up to suicidal ideation. We treat for other things too, but the main things that we've targeted in on are the things that we really focus on treatment for. And it's all non-narcotic, and it's all at no cost to the veterans, their spouse/partner, and their parents. So we treat for PTSD, for traumatic brain injuries, for interpersonal trauma, for chronic pain, for sleep disorders. That's one of the easiest way to get somebody to come in the door is to ask them if they can sleep, because as well as anybody that veterans have a hard time admitting that they have issues, and or always think that there's other people worse off than them. And that's not what we're about. We're not there to judge. We're there to give you a safe space to heal from anything that you've got going on. We also have client care navigators who meet with every single client to make sure that whatever else is going on with them besides what we're treating them for. So if it's, housing, if it's financial, if it's spiritual, whatever it might be, that we can help with those resources as well.
You guys have been around for how long now?
10 years. It's our 10-year anniversary this year.
That is so cool. And
over 30,000 treatments that we've done. We not only have our clinic in Fort Collins, we also do free monthly pop-up clinics in Longmont, Denver, and Colorado Springs. We treat every era, every branch of service. Doesn't matter. All you need is a DD 214 or your military ID. We treat homeless, we treat active duty, we do all of the yellow ribbon events for pre and post deployment, we do all the stand down events. So we're trying to be there for whoever needs us. And we also have telehealth options for those people that might be more rural or that they can't actually travel to us, that we can reach out that way and help them too.
Things are changing due to society. What's going on in society? You guys are adding more programs and more services to people as needed. Are as an organization, are you guys finding it easy to make these adjustments, or is it kind of a little like, grab the dashboard and hold on because we don't know what this is going to go like?
No, I think we navigate all of ours pretty well, because we don't jump into anything until we are absolutely sure that there have been studies done and that we're not putting anybody at harm when we decide to add something to our program. We don't add different modalities. So the modalities that we do, we are a registered VA vendor as well. So we look at where the VA is traveling in some of these circles as well, so that the people that are going through the VA system can actually get referrals from their VA for us as well. You don't need a referral, but you can get one for acupuncture for our clinic. So because we're non-narcotic, we use modalities that have been, we have a ton of data and efficacy studies that have shown the help that acupuncture and cranial sacral work and healing touch does for military veterans, active duty, all of that, because a lot of these programs were brought out by military doctors and nurses to people being brought in off the field, and they were treating them so that they didn't have to, if they, number one, they didn't have easy access to all the narcotics that they were going to need to treat some of these guys. So they had to figure out different methods, and this is what ended up working. So when we bring a new program on, it's after a lot of study and what can we do that integrates with the care that they already have. And so we've added a pre and post surgical series. We've added our cancer series. We have a detox series. We have an immune support series. We have a WIPSIP series, which is a wellness preventative care program for our 60 plus veterans. We have lots and lots of programs that we look at, we study, we follow the data, and then we bring it into our place when we know we're ready to handle it.
Do you guys have contact with people outside of the Colorado area who are trying to do the same thing? Is there a network within the country where there's a lot of people who are trying to do something similar? Or are you guys really kind of a pilot thing that are, getting other people's eyes on you going, I like this idea?
Yeah, part B of what you just said, we really are. We're kind of a pilot program because part of our next phase of operation is going to be our capital campaign to actually get our own building. And in that building will be a training center so that other organizations can figure out how to do what we're doing, to use the integrative modalities that we have in their practices. We don't need to teach them how to do acupuncture, cranial sacral, or healing touch. We need to teach them how to integrate that into their practices and how to do what we do. So that is part of our future plan. And no, unfortunately, there isn't that much of a network out there for what we do. We are in front of a lot of organizations because we've put ourselves in front of them and said, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we can do to help. And so we've collaborated on some big projects for the state through Larimer County Behavioral Health Systems. I mean, we're in front of, we got a huge VA grant this last year, the Sergeant Fox grant, which only one of 3 organizations in all of Colorado got, and we were one of them. So we're definitely getting in front of the right people and showing them that what we're doing is helping. We're not just talking about it. We're not just giving them resources. We're not talk therapy, nothing against talk therapy or anybody else, but we are actually boots on the ground making a difference every single day with these people. So that's what makes us different.
How much pushback do you get when you have, let's say, some of the older veterans, when you're trying to convince them that, hey, this 1,000-year-old technique of acupuncture can help release some of your stress? How much kickback do you get from that?
So here's the funny part. It's actually less pushback from the older veterans than it is from the younger ones.
Really?
Because the younger ones grew up in a generation of popping pills and being medicated. And so they look for the other paths. They look for the CBD paths. They look for the cyclamen paths. They look for those paths. And that's what we're not doing. So convincing them is harder sometimes, the younger generation. We have a really good mix, though. We're about, I don't remember the absolute stats. We just did we're in the middle of doing our 2022 annual report that will show us kind of what the blend is, but we're about 50-50 on the older veterans to the younger ones. So, I mean, I think it's a good blend. It is harder to convince the younger ones, but word of mouth also travels quicker with the younger ones once we do get them in. The older ones will definitely be more open to trying all of it because, again, they didn't grow up, in that generation of, having to be medicated all the time for something. I mean, pills weren't the thing back then, so they're a little more open, and they've been through a lifetime of trying all the other stuff. So to them, it's kind of like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, can't hurt me any worse than I already am, So
Um,
I, I
that's
think that's kind of the attitude, though,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah. I would definitely do things that I would have never thought I would do when I was younger. That's for damn sure. So it's
Sure.
like, "Oh, you're gonna stick needles into my skull. It's gonna make me feel better. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
30 years ago, I would have been like, you're out of your damn mind. I don't want to look
Ex-
like Pinhead from Hellraiser. I mean, what are you
exactly.
talking about? So
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a very interesting mix that's going on out there. And because of all of the opioid crisis and everything that's going on with just the over, prescribing of medications to these poor people over the years, we're never there to give medical advice. We integrate our therapies with whatever they're doing on a medical level. And all we do is really monitor every time they come in. We do a pain scale and a sleep scale with them to figure out, what are you coming in with, and then what are you leaving with. That's part of our data capture for what we're doing to make sure that the treatments that they are getting from us are making a difference. So with that, if you consistently were coming in as an 8 and we're leaving as a 6, and now all of a sudden you're coming in as a 6 and leaving as a 4, we try to have that conversation and say, hey, now that you are at this level, you may want to have a talk with your primary and get them to ratchet you down on whatever pain meds you may be on, because you're starting to self-manage your pain with the treatments that we're giving you. So we, like I said, we never give medical advice when it comes down to it. We definitely offer some counseling on, this is where you are now, so it might be a good idea.
we we're doing a lot together. We've been able to work together quite a bit, and I'm thrilled anytime that I get a chance to talk to you, because you are so busy. But one of the things that I really like to do is, I love being part, albeit a small part, on what you guys do and try to help you guys out. A couple of the things that we've got going on this month in order to help what you guys are doing is on our website, which is communitypayitforward.us, community mission to rescue 22. And we've got a couple things going on, like you can watch the Mardi Gras cooking, where we've got a pampered chef party that happened this last Sunday, and we replayed it this morning. And I might even continue this. Don't tell the wife, but this might become a 21.5 hour program,
Oh,
even though I'm going to play the thing and walk away.
there you
Go to
go.
bed.
You're gonna
So,
be
but
napping at a quarter.
yeah, but you know what? I can do that, but we might play this again. We'll definitely continue to play it throughout the month. But anytime that you order anything from Carolyn Rasmussen, a Pampered Chef, um, a portion of that money comes back to us, and what we're trying to do here. And you guys are one of 8 organizations that we really are trying to focus on, because every single one of us, um, our goal is the same, and that's trying to be there for people who a lot of times don't want to admit they need help.
Yeah.
And there's times they don't even know they need help
Right.
until it's too late. And
I have
so,
those I have those conversations a lot, because all the different outreach events that we do, I'm always having those conversations. And like I said, sleep and pain are the two things that definitely will come out when you just ask, you know, what overall is going on? Because you'll get those guys go, oh, you can't help me with anything. And I'm like, okay, so what do you have going on? And it's always some sort of either sleep or it's pain. Those are the two main things. And those are always it's like, come in, we can help.
yeah,
It doesn't cost you a thing to walk through the door and to get treatment. We do everything that we can to make sure that people don't have to pay for their treatment sessions. We have so many different grant programs, and we will slide you in from one to the next. and do what we can to make sure that you don't have to pay for that, because you shouldn't have to make that choice, and you've earned it. And that's what they don't get. They don't feel deserving of having, people give them anything. And if you're going to give somebody something, if you're going to thank someone for their service, thank them by supporting organizations that are supporting those people, because some of them do get burned out on the thank you for your service thing. You get some of them, they're just like, God, I want to run away from it because people are always doing it. And it's like, you want to thank them, do it the right way.
Well, and that's one of the great things that we get is we work with all these individual companies that are, they're willing to give up a referral, and we just turn that referral into a donation. We take 80% of whatever they give us, and it goes to the referral of your choice. One of the other programs that we have is the One Hope Wines event, and this time our goddess of the grape, she really went out there and she put a lot of them together, and you can see everything, including the Healing Warriors, right here. All you got to do is scan that code, and if you buy any wine on using that code, 10% of your purchase goes to Healing Warriors. And this is not cheap wine.
No, it's really good. I ordered some for Christmas, because after we did our podcast with her, I was just like, okay, I have to go on here, because everybody's got gifts to give out too, or you're going to somebody's house for dinner. I mean, they have some really nice mixed kind of cases that you can get from them that are a really good price for the whole thing. So I was super impressed. I still have some, because again, you don't know when you're going to end up last minute going to somebody's house or going out to dinner or whatever, and it's a great thing to be able to grab one and bring it along with you.
Yeah, well, and then you can come on over here, and healingwarriorsprogram.org is right there, so you get to come on up and check out everything that they're doing. We're going to have a very, very special guest in my mind join us, Janet, because this is a guy who has been look, I've had a lot of people who have supported me over the years. This gentleman, he has been there through all the crazy ideas I've tried. He's been one of them. He's, longtime friend, great partner. But this is Mr. Scott O'Sullivan of Scott O'Sullivan Law Firm and Ryder Justice. And now you see why I like him. Ryder Justice, you get that in there.
There
Scott,
you go.
how you doing?
Hi guys, how are you? I love what you're just talking about too. I totally agree. Help support each other. There's no competition here. We're all trying to help.
Exactly.
And that's exactly it. Scott, you're down in the Denver area, and you get to see you get to see some of the veterans that walk around in the Denver area who, they need services like Healing Warriors. When they go down and they put up one of their pop-up tents, they need these services because they don't have access to anything else. What are some of the things that you see that could really help organizations like Healing Warriors make a bigger impact in Denver? What would you like to see people do in Denver to support Healing Warriors?
Well, I think it's just really important to try to get the word out across the board. And, this is one way that you're doing it. Other ways is by different groups and organizations like yours and like Ryder Justice and other things that I'm a part of throughout the community. It's just to help get the word out so that they know these services and these organizations are available to them to help with everything that they're, maybe going through at that moment. And the more you get the word out, the more people that can help, the better.
Janet, Scott and I had a conversation the last time that we were able to go, sit down one-on-one, and we were talking about how there's a lot of times that we, as people who try to help others, there's a lot of burnout there. And we were talking about how there's times that we've got to be careful that we don't get too burned out, because there are so many people who, we're trying to help. And do you guys ever run that fear that, maybe we're overreaching?
I think it happens organically with anybody, especially when you're a nonprofit, because you're trying to do so much more with so much less all the time. So, I mean, I think that's always a risk, but I think you have to, sometimes you just have to pick your priorities too. We get invited to a million different events all the time. And for the longest time, we had a staff of about 6. And there was just no way for me to clone myself to be at everything that people wanted me to be at. So I really had to just pick and choose and pick what I felt was going to be the best advantage for us to be there for. Now we've tripled our staff, and so I have minions and I have people, and so we can spread the word a little bit easier. Because like you were saying, yes, Denver, the Springs, and Longmont all have huge populations of veterans that are always in need. And our pop-up clinics, and it's not necessarily a tent, but I just thought I'd clear you up on that one. We're at VFW Post 1 every second Saturday in Denver. So it's always at a VFW post. It's 2601, I believe, I have to always remember. It's 209 in the Springs, and it is 2601 in Longmont. So if you get on our Facebook page under events, you can see all of our pop-up clinic schedule, and it's on that same Saturday every single month at that location, and anybody can walk in. You don't need an appointment. You just walk in. You have a DD-214 military ID, we will help. And a lot of times we bring extra stuff down there too. So if we have goodie bags or if we have care kits or any of that kind of stuff, we bring that stuff with us because we know that the homeless populations are stronger in those areas. And so that's a good opportunity for us to be able to give some extra stuff at those. So yeah, burnout. I mean, that's something that's going to happen. We try not to let it happen, and overreaching. I mean, I would rather overreach and reach one person that I can help and to underreach and not hit that person. So,
and that's kind of exactly where we went with that. It's like, it gets to a point where, I mean, there's times that you feel like, damn, I could have done so much more, but I did what I did. And that's actually more of what I suffer with quite often. It's like going, geez, I wish I could do more, but you know what?
Well, you need volunteer help. You need to get yourself a group of volunteers who can help you because you're trying to do everything all the time on your own.
Totally agree.
And you can't do that. That will burn you out. I have a huge network of volunteers that are huge helps. And building out those relationships with your volunteers and having those stand-up people who will just be there to go run those errands, to go pick up things from people. Because look how many times you and I have connected on me donating stuff to you, and it's always you. I want to see a volunteer come pick up stuff on occasion because I don't want it always to be you. I love seeing you, but you need help on that level, and that's how you keep from getting yourself run ragged and getting yourself to that point where you can't help everybody, but you can if you get a better infrastructure for people to help you.
Well, you know what I always tell people is that I feel like we are so close. I really do. I feel like we're so close to being where we want to be. Jana, we got people like you who take and work your ass off and do what you do. And once we get the word spread on what we're trying to do, there's never been an easier way to fundraise for anything. We're not asking you to pull your wallet out. We're asking you to shop with small to medium business. We're asking you to, go and see our great sponsors like Scott and just thank him for keeping us alive. And it's truly one of those things that I think I really do. I think that we're so close, and I appreciate, that everybody watches out for me. You and Bart both, every time I talk to you guys.
Bart.
Oh yeah. Bart's coming on tonight. This is one of the greatest guys. Scott, I'll have to introduce you to him sometime. He is one of the greatest guys in the world, and his program is just awesome. But yeah,
biggest sweetheart ever. Yeah, I just saw him last week as we did an event over at Woodward Governor, and of course he was there. But he's my big teddy bear. I love seeing him every time.
Oh yeah. So, but Janet, I'm going to ask you one more question. I'm going to let you go because I know how busy you are, and I want to talk a little bit with Scott. When somebody comes to you, they come to you and they say, I've got this problem, and I don't know if I'm going to make it through it. How do you start the conversation with them?
Wow. I mean,
it's a small question. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. The client care navigators play a big portion of that because they are they're the ones who are trained to have those conversations. And depending on the level that we find them at, if they are suicidal, then we do what every organization needs to be doing, and that's, hook them up with a crisis counselor right away, or call the Veterans Crisis Hotline, the 988, and then press 1. We push that a lot, but we now have expanded our suicide prevention series, and it now also we're giving out pistol safes, which actually has a magnet on the pistol safe that is a picture frame, that we want them to put any picture of anything that's going to make them take that moment to not open that pistol safe. So we're doing everything that we can on a preventative level, and then it's a matter of really just finding the right treatment series depending on why are they in that frame of mind. Is it the pain? Is it sleep? What is it that's causing them to go in that direction? So it's a tough conversation to have, but that's what our client care navigators are for. They're trained to have those conversations and to do the next steps that need to be done to get them. We haven't lost one yet, so I'm going to put that out there. We've done over 30,000 treatments. We've treated thousands of veterans and their families, and that's why it's important to bring the family units into it as well. We treat the veteran, their spouse, their partner, their parents. We bring them all into the picture because the caregivers are suffering as much as that veteran is, and it needs to be a collective when we treat these people. So we just figure out what path is the next path for these guys that we need to take. And like I said, we haven't lost one yet. So that's my claim to fame right now.
That's one of the things that people need to remember is no one suffers alone. There's always a family there that suffers with them.
Exactly. And we're trying to get them to understand that you can turn your mess into a message. It's like, yes, everybody is going through something different. It's how you come out on the other side. And we're going to make sure that you come out on the other side, whatever that takes, whether it's hooking you up with a service animal, whether it's, whatever that needs to be, getting them into social situations. We work with hundreds of other resource partners, and we try to make sure that we have direct connections with those resource partners so that if you come in and you're really just having a problem in one area, I don't want to just hand you a website. I want to be able to call up that person at that organization and say, hey, Bill, I've got Harry here who really needs some help. I need you two to hook up together and make an appointment so that we're not just saying, here, do what everybody else does. And here's a whole slew of websites to make you want to just bash your head against a wall worse than what you already are.
Yep, so that's one of the things that we really want to make sure that we're trying to do is, you don't leave somebody with the website, you leave somebody with a solution. So
exactly.
That's kind of the whole reason why this got started. So Janet, thank you very much for the time. Love you. We'll talk to you very, very soon. Okay.
Thanks,
HealingWarriorsProgram.org, HealingWarriorsProgram.org. Make sure you go and check it out. They're doing some great work, and they're doing great work all over Colorado. So we appreciate it. Thank you, dear.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you, Janet.
Nice to meet you, Scott.
Scott, how you doing, my friend?
Good, man. How are you?
A little busy.
Yeah. I don't even know how you're going to do this for as long as you're doing it. It like blows my mind.
Yeah, well, I guess it just kind of takes and shows you that, when you rattle your brain in a motorcycle accident, maybe not everything comes back to normal. So, but, it's a cause that I really, 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 truly want to find some solution, any solution. One life, you save one life, and this, you win. You win one case for a family. It's one of those things that that there's something in it, and it was worth it. And if we can save one life, if we can start one conversation that saves a life somewhere down the road, that's what we need to do. And I think it's so important. That's the reason why I wanted to bring you in, Scott, because you are very, very you're one of the most thoughtful people in the world. You're involved in so many things, and I know that that our warriors, that our heroes, are something that's very high on your list. You and I have done quite a few things together for the heroes. Do you have any stories from heroes where was your father or anybody in your family, were they in the service?
Yeah, my dad was sort of in between Korea and Vietnam, and then just tons of friends who have served throughout all the years, especially going forward with the first Gulf War through today. So several friends over the years who left, cozy, easy lives to go do the right thing. And then all these years now as an attorney here in Colorado, helping, I sincerely don't know, dozens, 100 plus veterans and or current service men and women. So from various levels, from as high as major general to colonel to, privates. So kind of the whole gamut.
Scott, one of the reasons why I think that one of the reasons why I know for a fact that I love and respect you as much as I do is that you're not one of those television screamers. Okay. You're not on there telling us that you can win, I can win you $45 million, but I got to pay for one next to you.
Yeah, apparently now it's like you got to say $1 billion. Apparently.
Yeah. So that's true, but you're not one of those people. You're very low key. You stay in your lane. You do your job. You take care of people so well, and it's so refreshing because, like I've said before, those people drive me crazy. Don't tell me what you've done for somebody else. What are you going to do for my family? And I think that that's one of the reasons why I do have the respect for you, because you know what, you tell people straight up, look, this is what we're going to do, and you call them by name, not by, hey, number, docket number, this, you
Right.
actually get to know people. So I've never had any problem when I've got to get to be able to tell people about you. I never have any reservations whatsoever on sending them to you because of that.
Well, that's very kind, and I obviously love all the work that you're doing in the community, especially up north here in Colorado. And it's I want to do one quick comment, and it was about the burnout. I think for all of us, if we're not right sort of on the edge of burnout, we're probably not trying hard enough. And I don't mean to belabor that point, but there is that fine line, and sometimes we all need that break, and that usually happens for me once every couple of years, where I get just one too many devastating calls in a row, and it really hits home, especially if it involves somebody's kid, and because I've got kids like you, and we put ourselves in those positions. But no, I appreciate it. I'm not a TV guy. I'm not that. I'm doing this a long time. Our whole goal is to help, kind of like what you said, is sort of one person at a time. I don't need to feed the beast with thousands of cases and make all this all this stuff up, and just trying to help one at a time. And I'm lucky enough that I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it a long time, and working with different organizations like yours. And others that can actually help people too, because sometimes there's only so much I can do, but there's different organizations we can put them in touch with, and take advantage of different services, because sometimes my process can take 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending as we sue. So it's all just sometimes it's situational, how you grew up, sometimes it's how you're raised, and for me it was kind of how I was raised. My mom very much a community organizer, very much philanthropic, worked her ass off for seniors, for the hungry, for students, and it stuck with me. Probably when I was a kid, I probably got dragged to these things and resented it, and then now as adult years later, I'm doing the same thing to my sons, and
Yep. Now it's kind of what you love. Well, I was telling you about this yesterday, and I'm extremely excited to bring on. We're going statewide now, or countrywide now. We've got a great friend of the program, Alan Holmes. He's one of our partners. How come he's not showing up there? And we got Mr. Z. Why isn't he showing up? Alan, I see you. Or maybe he's frozen. Oh, there he is. There he is. Okay. So, Alan and Z, this is a great friend. Scott O'Sullivan from down in Denver. So, Mr. Z is in New York, and Alan is in Los Angeles. So we're all over the country now. But Scott, tell us a little bit about Rider Justice. This, of course, is one of my my loves because of, well, it's motorcycles. So those damned motorcycles.
Yeah, I got a little pushback the other day because I talked about lane splitting apparently, and that was a no-no in Colorado. But the Rider Justice, I started it. It's now 5 or 6 years ago, and it started as the advocacy arm of my law firm. And what I meant by that is, or what I mean by that is, we were trying to help change laws to get phones out of people's hands while they're driving. I helped increase penalties now for the vulnerable user law. What that is motorcycle riders, bicycle riders, pedestrians, skateboarders, whatever you are, if you get hit by a car and you are seriously injured, we now have the ability to give prosecutors kickers to help make the crime worse. So rather than just a little slap on the wrist and a couple points, it's now there's potential to lose your license. So that was part of why I started Rider Justice, and now we're all over the country just trying to help riders out, but more importantly also celebrate the community. We do really fun stuff. If you ever visit my site at riderjustice.com, there's zero motorcycle accident looks or that kind of stuff. It's all more celebrating the community. I finally, during COVID, I started a new motorcycle project, and I haven't ridden it yet, but it's close to ready. It's got a restoration on an old Honda CB 360, and Zach, I'll get up there and ride with you up there with it. It's kind of turned into a brat / cafe kind of thing, so it's fun.
And so you're gonna do it, huh? You're gonna throw the leg?
I grew up riding, and part of what we talk about and what you're talking about today is trauma, right? I have different kinds of, it's not personal, thank God. For me personally, like what you went through, but I see too much all the time.
Yeah.
So I now basically ride up in the mountains, up by my cabin, up by Leadville for different events with some friends here and there. It's just taking some time. Doing this for over 25 years, I've seen a lot. So, and it's hard to shut my brain off when I enter every different kind of encounter. I'm going through all the scenarios of everything I've ever done. So, don't want to turn dark, but yeah. So yes.
Yeah. Well,
the answer is yes. But doing it in a sort of different way.
There are, look, there's a fact that there are a lot of veterans on two wheels.
Absolutely.
There are a ton of veterans on two wheels. When you look at it, and good thing, bad thing, whatever you want to call it, most MCs were started by veteran groups.
Absolutely.
These are people who want to ride together, who there's that partnership, there's that kinship, there's that friendship. It's a group of people that when they get together, and it's the same with equine therapy, Mr. Z, that when talking to JR, it's one of those things that when you get together, you're on that machine. There can be 100 people around you, but it's you and that machine. And the therapy on that machine is just, it's wonderful. It really is. So, Scott, I know that you got to get going, my friend. I know that you got a very busy day. I just want to say thank you for joining us today. There are two people on this call right now that my company would not be anything without the both of you, and I want to thank both of you for that, because both of you guys really, really step up and beyond what all the crazy stuff I've asked for over the years. Scott, you've been there, and I appreciate that, my brother.
Well,
so thank you.
It's my pleasure, Zach. I really appreciate it too. I appreciate all the years that you've been trying to help people and connect people, and the more we can do, the more people we can help. And Mr. Z, it's very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too, Scott. I heard a lot of great things about you.
You're on the other coast, but we'll figure it out someday.
Someday, I'd love to hear your story. Thank you, Scott.
Same.
We'll all get it going. So,
sure.
But
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Scott, and we'll see you later. Make sure you go to Scott O'Sullivan or SullivanLawFirm.com.
Yeah, OSullivanLawFirm.com or WriterJustice.
WriterJustice.com, or you can find them both at CommunityPayItForward.us. Find out more information about him. You ever need somebody to talk? You need a referral? I'll gladly introduce you to this man, because everybody I've ever sent to him, like he says, it's a struggle sometimes. It's a struggle, but there's not a single one of them that once that struggle's over, we can help during. This man's going to help you after. So, but thank you, sir.
I appreciate that. And man, hang in there. You got a long day.
Yeah. I'm almost close to, not even close to done. So, all right, we'll talk to you later.
The zip code. Keep drinking and eating water. Or drinking water and eating some food, I meant. All right, thanks, Zach.
I'll contact you later, Scott. Thank you.
Nice to meet you,
Scott.
All
right, we're bringing back Alan. We lost Alan for a minute. I'm being joined again by Mr. Z and Alan Holmes. Alan is he's trying to work through a couple internet issues, it looks like. But Z, how you doing, brother?
Feeling very humbled to be here. Thank you very much, brother man. Always an honor to be here and help our veterans as much as we can. And long answer, well, I'm going to make the short answer long. Great to know that there are people like Scott who are heavily involved in the community, and people like yourself. That's not just doing it to get on TV and get free advertising. It's about what's important, and it's helping our communities, because no one should ever go through it alone. And kudos to you, brother man, Zach, for making this happen. And speaking of our heroes, so great to see Alan here. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling, brother.
Yeah, well, I'm thrilled to have you, Alan. Thank you for joining us. You are a veteran, and you have went through many different things, and you've experienced many different things, and it's been a struggle at times, right? Unfortunately, it may be freezing on him. Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be freezing on him. Yeah, Alan's got a very unique story. The guy is first class all the way. He's went through some struggles, and he's coming out, and he's taking these struggles, and he's wanting to kick them right in the ass, and he's wanting to move on and do something better. He wants to make sure that people are taken care of, and he's a very unique individual when it comes to that. He really tries hard to push for connections for other people.
Yes.
So let's see if we can get him back in. He's connecting right now. So while he's connecting, Z, why don't you give us a rundown of what you do, some of your wonderful work.
Thank you. My work is nothing compared to yours, because the work that you're doing will lead on for generations and generations to come. And you're the first generation to do something that most people don't spend enough time doing. And thank you, brother man, for the kind introduction. So, as you may know, my name is Z, or you can call me Mr. Z for fun. I am a web developer, and I am also a consultant that can help nonprofits, veteran business owners, and entrepreneurs like yourselves who are looking to modify, develop, or redevelop a custom website or ADA compliant website. Z World is waiting for. And if you'd like to find out more about who I am, please visit www.communitypayforward.us, which I'm very humbled to be your partner, sponsor and partner of the Community Pay It Forward. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to clearly understand what our veterans are going through. So thank you, brother man. Can't thank you enough.
I think it's one of those things that, and you listen as well as I do, and we get to talk. We get the privilege to talk to people who they have problems, and look, everyone's going to have problems, but when when those problems are caused because they tried to do the right thing, and there's a crack in the system that leaves them vulnerable out there, and even sometimes alone. That's a crack that's got to be sealed, right?
Yeah.
So I don't understand. I don't understand a lot of it. I don't understand a lot of the reason why it happens, but I do know that. Oh, that dog, I'm telling you. But I know that we can do this working together, right? I know that there's a way that we can do this. All we have to do, as as we say, come together.
Yes.
Let's work together. Let's find the answer. It's not, yeah, uh, it's not rocket surgery. I mean, working together is something that we should want to do. So, let's do it. Um, you have you have other uh, really pet uh, causes that you absolutely love. Why don't you give us a couple of those?
A lot of causes, and I appreciate bringing that introduction. I couldn't agree with you more. It's not rocket science, it's not rocket surgery to help our local communities. They need our help, and we're always willing to help. Uh, and the sad thing is, there isn't enough awareness. And the fact there's someone like yourself and Specialist Alan who are bringing awareness to veteran suicide, veteran PTSD, and unemployment, it's truly commendable what you're doing. And I apologize if it looks like my eyes are not focused on the camera. It's just the cameras are shifting. But my biggest uh, topics I like to resolve, I guess, it's bringing awareness to veterans PTSD. There's a thing called human trafficking where little boys and girls are subjected to disgusting things. Our planet is slowly dying as we speak, and there's a lot of companies, which I won't say, are sweeping the problems under the rug and saying, hey, everything's fine. Let's just ban plastic and everything should be hunky dory. That's not how it works. And more importantly, our animal species, our kingdom is becoming endangered. And there's just a lot of things. And my goal and the reason why I do what I do is to make Z World a better place. And more
Mm,
importantly, finding the good people like yourself, like Specialist Alan, you, Brother Man, and uh, Scott, who's doing it for the right reasons. And people like Scott, Specialist Alan, you are not looking for the big paycheck and the big glory. You're looking to make a big impact. And that's why I like to be a part of this group, because it reminds me of, you know, sometimes we're doing the things that we want to do, but there are people like you three and many others in your community that we don't have to go through it alone. And
mm.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's not rocket science. It's just
Yeah,
common sense.
I'm just gonna say it's not us four. You're kind of in this too. So,
Oh,
Alan,
thanks.
welcome back, my friend, my brother. You are a veteran, and you have been through multiple struggles. You've seen some of the reasons why people choose um, to end because of the pain, but you've fought and you've survived. What was it that carried you through? What is it that really made you stop and think and say, you know what, this is shit, but I'm not ready to give up yet?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I appreciate that. Yeah, to switch from laptop to the computer, the technology today. What actually allowed me to move in the direction of taking veterans? I always have a saying that it's not about me, it's about we. And I remember being uh, in the U.S. Army from 13 Bravo back in 87 and 90, 3 days before the Gulf War started. Uh, I remember my unit commander saying, "Never forget a veteran." It's you always understand that there are those who were deployed sometimes multiple times, and they come back and they're a broken person. They're a different person. And my whole focus is to always remember that. There are those who served in many capacities from World War III to Vietnam to Desert Storm to the various different deployments, and there's always something that they feel that they've given this all, and then they come back and it's a different world that people don't respect it as a whole. And as a veteran myself, my goal and objective, no matter which branch, will always remember that I'm here to support and advocate for those who have served and has family has served. So that's kind of reason why I do what I do, and will continue to do it. And I thank you, Zach and Mr. Z, for allowing me to be part of your panel today, because both of you and your organizations, respectively, are just giving so much. And to echo Mr. Z's sentiment, it's not about cash, it's about the humanitarian side of which both of you do so much. Thank you.
At the end of the day,
Nice.
uh, being able to hold your head up high, yeah, you know what? Being able to sit a little crooked because your wallet's full, that's pretty fun, I guess. I don't know. Never really happened to me, but I'm just saying. I'll bet you it's kind of fun. But the truth is being able to hold your head up high and let people know, you know what? Damn it, that person is able to eat tonight because we were able to help them. I think that means so much. And I think that that's one of the reasons that I really want to see this work. I want to see February 22nd become something that, we all continue to get together, because this isn't me doing this. This is me sitting on my fat ass for 22 hours. Guess what? I'm a fat guy. I sit on my ass for 22 hours quite often. Okay. This is you guys joining me. This is you guys coming out and you guys being able to talk. Alan, you've got a story that, is it's hard for you to talk about a lot of times because there's pain in it. Z, you see things that go on in New York City that just disgust you, and you are the
Yeah.
most mild-mannered person I have ever met in my life, and I've seen you get upset about it, and I understand why. Because there should never be, look, let's be honest, there are homes, and I had this conversation last night. Well, actually, maybe it was this morning. I don't know. But it was sometime before the sun came up. I know that. But the conversation was this: we have got homes that are still standing, that are being torn down, and coffee shops being put up. Why are we losing these resources when we can put people into them? We can get, two or three people off the damn streets. I mean, look, let's be honest. Congress could use one less raise, and we could take care of people instead of putting up a freaking coffee shop somewhere. I don't understand where it gets twisted at times. You know, Here in Greeley, and I know that you guys live in much bigger cities, but we got these houses that have been boarded up for damn near a decade. They're still standing there, and they could be utilized for something important. But people are too, I don't know if people are just too afraid to do something about it, or they're just too, I can't believe that everybody's just, too dumb. What what's it going to take? Alan, let me ask you first. What's it going to take for people to wake up and realize this is a problem? This isn't something that's going to go away after we stop talking about it, okay? Dead is dead, and when the problem gets to that point, we can't go back and say, I'm sorry, I should have seen it. it's too late. What is it going to take for people to wake up?
Well, one of the things it's going to take is the individuals to continue to be a spokesperson and be an advocate. And when it comes to the about stepping up and just being real about the situation, and about here in California, I mean, it is it is a well known fact that there are different skid rows. And they interviewed one of the veterans on Skid Row, and they asked him, point blank, what do you think of people who come along and say, well, not in my backyard. And he never forget the phrase he said. He said, it's easy to say that when you have a backyard. And families and individuals who are understanding that on a regular basis that they have a home, they have a understand, don't just turn your head and be spoken and be part of um, conversations like we're having today, to realize that veterans and families and individuals who are homeless, they they weren't born that way. There's something happened along the way that caused them to go and in that direction, and now all of a sudden they need assistance. And I myself, my wife and I, we were homeless for 3 months back in 2012, and we know it sucks. But those are those who continue to. So when I have a conversation with individuals, if I see them, I nod at them and say, "Oh, you're okay." And if we make eye contact, I just, we have a conversation, even if it's 2 or 3 minutes, because that's a human being on the end of that. At the end of that situation, it's not just a, I really don't even like the word homeless. We have to stop treating individuals like they're not there. We have to accept that this is reality. And until we come together as a collective unit and stop making it about, well, just around the holidays, this is 365 days a year. And I agree with you, Mr. Z. And Zach, when you say that, people are not going to just stop talking about it, just on this podcast. Another, we want the conversation to continue, and to realize that if we're going to make a difference, we have to go out and put boots on the ground, and at the very least, start sharing them with articles and videos and posts every time when something is wrong. And if it's something wrong, they say something. You see something, say something.
Yep, I love it. I love it, Alan. Z.
I'm just going to coattail what Specialist Alan said. And you may have noticed I keep calling him Specialist Alan because I have the highest regard for him, because he is a person who is an American hero. And like he said, we don't have to wait around the holidays to bring awareness. That goes on for 365 days. And I've seen it firsthand of how our ignored veterans are being treated. I used to commute to Manhattan on a daily basis, and there were those during the winter time that wore their Vietnam jackets as a means to stay warm. And not to get so graphic, but some of them were wounded just sleeping in the subway cars. And there's a reason why when you go to a New York City subway and there's an empty car, let's just say it's their home, and the only way they can keep themselves warm, it's to use their bodily functions to stay warm. And they deserve a lot better than being kicked out of their homes or a place just to make room for the next coffee shop or a shopping mall just for the city curb appeal. And it's ridiculous of how our veterans are often treated like objects. And I'm not trying to speak on behalf of Californians, but there are places in Skid Row, maybe in Santa Monica Boulevard, that might be problematic for homelessness, and here in New York City too. And just for the record, I don't live in New York City at the moment. I live in Long Island, New York, but I've seen it as my way of commuting. It's very common to see homeless veterans and individuals that are.
Yeah, I mean, I live in a town that's smaller than a New York City block,
Oh
probably.
yeah,
I mean, I really do, but and LA, block. But the thing is that there's homeless everywhere, and
yeah,
homelessness. We know homelessness is the number one cause for people for the angst and for that, you know, for that decision to start being made. It's because they start thinking, "Oh my God, I have nothing." And look, they're taken from high school. They're molded into, I'm just going to be blunt here, they're molded into a weapon. They're molded into somebody who's going to take orders, eat their shit, and walk on if that's what they're ordered to do. Okay? There's no time to grow up and learn how to be a civilian in there. They come out, they go to try to get the job that they did in the service, and they find out because they don't have a master's degree, they can't get that job even though they got more experience than someone with a master's degree. It's one of those things that it's infuriating to hear this, because you know what? Our glorious government is supposed to be, training these kids and preparing them for life, but a lot of times they're setting them up for failure. There's got to be a better way to help them afterwards. Alan, what do you think that, and we're going to leave the government out of this, okay? What is something that you, Z, and myself, what is something that we can do together to get something kickstarted?
Well, the first thing is we need to do is a lot of these there's better known businesses that are out there. I have had the privilege and honor of meeting one of the gentlemen, Steve Guard, Network in Action. This is better known businesses, and start supporting the better known businesses that are out there. And when we support the better known businesses, that will in turn then start bringing awareness and start having the conversations like we're having, that there should be no one left behind. I mean, the Marines have this incredible and never leave a soldier behind, and I believe that that's something that all the branches do. But yeah, that's something that we can start doing, is starting to reaching out to the veteran owned businesses, letting them know about the, go ahead and tag you, Mr. Zach. Yeah, the community pay it forward, and helping them understand that there is a place that they can represent their veteran-owned businesses in a community that is giving back.
Well, I greatly appreciate that, Alan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and the kind of connections that you're making? I'm sorry, my co-host decided to make an appearance today, so she.
Absolutely, no
So,
problem. Yeah, he's definitely welcome. Welcome, Mr. Co-host. Yeah, out of Southern California, even though I globally represent all the world, specialize in connecting business owners, whether they're brick and mortar, home-based business, like an internet market affiliate, marketers, or the entrepreneur, the individuals with the next technology, as well as the everyday consumers. And I put those three together with unique and innovative resources. In short, I call myself a human search engine collaborator. And you can check me out at yourdestinybegins.here.com, which is actually, by the way, put together just beautifully by the incomparable, the impeccable Mr. Z. So that's actually what I do, is I love to just collaborate and connect and network and find out what kind of resource I can be to the individuals or business owners and or just the humanitarians of the world, like Mr. Zach, who and Mr. Z, of course, who not only has a resource that can benefit and provide a solution for individuals, but to actually solve a problem.
well, you are also,
Thank you.
you're not just somebody who's going to talk about what we are doing together. All three of us are connected in business. All three of us have done wonderful things together, and all three of us are going to continue to do wonderful things together, because all three of us do have a a like-minded mission of turning our businesses into something important. Um, and this isn't me trying to be self-sanctimonious. This is being realistic. When we make a sale, we want it to mean something for someone, someone other than our families. And yeah, we want to take care of our families, don't get us wrong, but we want to make sure it also takes care of someone else. So that's really important for all of us. um Z, uh, you have your talent all over both of our websites. You are both of our websites. That's just the way it is about it. Um, when you take on a website, what are some of the things that you absolutely must do for yourself to be happy when one gets done?
I appreciate the kind words, gentlemen. But honestly, you both have the talents. I'm just the handy person that's just framing your website on a wall. You've been very patient with the process, and the best part is we're putting your vision that's out there. And to answer your question, and I just want to give a quick testimonial for Specialist Allen. He is definitely a human search engine because he's definitely a person that'll be on the lookout for certain terms. So if I say, "Hey, I'm looking for a X person," he'll provide me the Y person because they know their Y, and we've been collaborating. So definitely recommend reaching out to Specialist Alan Holmes, and of course yourself, brother man Zach. The most important step for any website is to ensure that we talk about this all the time. It's ADA compliant, which is short for the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. Sure, there might be some people that might say, "Do you hear yourself? I've never heard such a concept. I've been in the industry for 25 years in my warehouse selling fishing lines and whatnot."
My
It's
my fixed IT staff has never heard of anything so
Yeah,
ridiculous.
exactly. And I spent $1 million on an attorney that probably doesn't exist. But
Oh, wait, what? Dare we digress? I mean,
yeah, sure. But more importantly, just making sure your website is ADA compliant. Sure, there are widgets out there that you could slap on and hope for the best, but it's not enough to cover yourself with a lawsuit. But besides lawsuits and the scary stuff, the important thing is to make sure that your information is accessible to all users, especially for those who are visually impaired, hearing impaired, and are living with motor impaired skills like Parkinson's. So why should we neglect those who want to learn more about this organization or your services and say, well, it sounds like a their problem, not our problem? And I've spoken to a lot of people who often go to restaurants and say, hey, is this restaurant wheelchair accessible? No, but if you want, you can go to the nearest pizza shop that's over there. Maybe you'll find something there. So there isn't a lot of awareness with ADA compliance, and it's great to know you two and Scott, who is very involved with the ADA community. So long answer short, ensuring that all websites are accessible to those, whether they're differently abled or abled, to learn more about the community pay it forward and the master connectors worldwide.
Yeah, gentlemen, when I spoke to Trevor this morning, who's a great friend of all of ours,
Oh yes.
um, and this just kind of really puts it into perspective. You and Trevor are kind of doing the same thing, but we're still great friends because we're in this for everyone. We're not, I mean, look, there's plenty of business. How many millions, trillions of websites are out there? It's not like one person can handle it all. But, what I was telling Trevor earlier is very true, right? That, look, you not having an ADA compliant website is basically telling somebody else, go to them. They can't read mine, go to them. You're losing out on people who are they've got disposable income, for God's sakes. What are you doing? I mean, it's really, I think I might be getting a little crabby already.
It's a touchy subject.
Yeah, but you're leaving people out.
Yeah.
You're leaving people out, and you're treating people like they're subhuman, and it's unacceptable. Alan, you are, and look, you have been growing your business from, and there is nobody that works harder than you, trying to make sure that that you make the connections. You are so driven. What what is your future? What do you want to see, Alan? What do you want to see from your company and from something that we can do together?
Well, thank you so much, Zach, for asking. What I would like to see and foresee in the future is actually, like I said, I call myself a human surgeon, it's just a title. But my goal and objective is one of them, and many, is to create the largest network within a series of networks ever assembled. Now, most people say, well, that's the internet. No. What it is in my mind, is a collaborative effort of Zach, your resources, and Mr. Z, your resources, and Scott. I definitely got on late, but some of his resources. I guess what I'm sharing is so many of us have networks that are beyond our reach. To touch on what you said earlier, Mr. Z, yeah, and Mr. Zach, is people don't wake up in the morning and think of Alan Holmes. I'll use my for example. What they do is they think of, how am I going to survive? How am I going to get past this next day? How am I going to eat? And that can only be accomplished by learning more about Zach in your incredible pay it forward communities and the businesses that you have, and Mr. Z and the partners and alliances that you have, and that's what I would love to see, is to put it where somebody wakes up in the morning and they say, you know what, I'm at reach a point in my life that my personal life, my business life, my spiritual life has needs a little tweaking. Well, where do I need to go? And it starts with our extensive tree, and being like an extension of one another, and being able to see where the world goes, because we wake up every day and God has allowed us to wake up and open our eyes and figure out where and who we can, how many lives we can touch. That's my ultimate goal, is to be able to just do this and have actually what I call inspirational meetings. There's a lot of motivations and human development person that is rah this, and but I would love to have inspirational workshops that are around the world, that when someone says, how can I make a difference? Who can I utilize to touch? They think of our three services respectively, and then the strategic partners and the alliances that we've so been humbled to be a part of.
Well, I think that we need to start working on that. Hey, you know what, Ellen? You said something earlier that I just want to add to it. That you were talking about how we need to care, not just around the holidays. Here's the one thing that I want to ask, and I'm going to challenge everybody out there. It's not a holiday. Well, I guess it is. It is President. Well, it was President's Day on Monday, right? Yeah. So yeah, but it's not a holiday today. Are you hungry? You probably are, or you will be, or you have been. Alan said it right. You don't have to wait for a holiday. It's this is a problem. This is a now problem. This isn't a, let's wait for a week and we can see what happens problem. Okay. One of the things that we've been talking about all day is that if you walk away from somebody without giving them a solution, chances are they're not going to be there when you get back. Again, this is something that we're talking, and look, it's finality. It is finality. You can't, this isn't a video game, in which we'll get to video games later on tonight, as we join another great friend of ours, Sarah, as they play video games. But this isn't a video game. You can't die and come back. When you're gone, you're gone. All that's left is the memory and the pain of your passing. If we walk away and we have the chance to hook somebody up with the right resources that they need, and we didn't do that as a human being, we did wrong. And we need to start working together, because Alan's right. Waiting for a holiday. Z's right. Taking away things that people need to survive, not providing them with the resources that they need, it's being complicit in their death is what it is. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's not, it, you know, in some circles it's not being taken serious, and that's just disgusting. And I don't understand, you know. And Z, you and I talk twice a week. Alan, you and I need to talk more, much more. But it's one of those things that, you know, every time that we do start talking, we bring up something that we've seen, or something that we have to shake our heads at, because there's a point of ignorance that's cute, but right now there's a lot of ignorance that's deadly. And as long as we let this continue, we're going to be losing people, and we need people to really wake up about this. Z, what's the future of Z World Webs and yourself?
The future of Z World Webs is to make both of you a household name. I'm going to do it. And hopefully your businesses, your organizations will be your primary source of income. But more importantly, to make Z World a better place and bring awareness to the items that are, I shouldn't say items, the topics, the awareness that's no longer swept under the rug. I'm going to be very pushy and say, hey, these veterans deserve a lot better. And I think it's ridiculous when they're looking at life insurance policies and their policyholder says, oh, you were in combat and you have PTSD. Oh, you're a liability. But if you're interested, you can sign for a higher premium, but there's no guarantees after 3 months. Or looking for employment, like you said. Not easy for the veterans, even coming home. And I can't say who, but I had a conversation with someone, and we had an extensive conversation about survivor's guilt. And the problem is, hey, you did your tour, you can go home now. But what about my brethren? Listen, you're due as you're told, not to think. Go home, soldier. You did your duty. But there's just so much to do. And to a long answer short, just to make Z World a better place. And I seriously mean it, because my chances of being alive is 1 to 10 trillion. And me being on this planet gives me a sense of purpose. I mean, we came out first place, so we're going to leave in first place. And
I think the great thing about what we've started here, and I think that all three of us will agree on this, is that, you know what, one of us isn't going to get anywhere without the other two. So I really do think that this is a point where, and us working together, and us working together with, you know, I'm hoping everyone else that's on this call, everyone else that checks out, you know, these shows. And yeah, I like to talk, but I'm not sure I would volunteer to sit here for 22 hours if it was something other than, you know, something that was less important. I wouldn't be sitting here talking, and we all know how much I love hockey. I sure as hell wouldn't be sitting here talking about hockey for 22 hours. So this is something that, look, this is not a me problem. This is not a you problem. This is a we problem. We have a serious problem. And a lot of that is caring. And we need to make sure that we care about another at least enough to, you know what? I have that hoodie that doesn't fit me anymore. I'm no longer an extra large. You know, I haven't been an extra large since I was like in high school. You know, it's not going to fit me. What the hell's it doing in my closet? Maybe I can give it to somebody who, you know, who's suffering with the cold. I say it, Z, you hear it all the time. I tell people, look, you know, so you made a little bit extra food or something. Throw it in the old hillbilly Tupperware, throw it in an old butter bowl, heat it up, take it to somebody that you know is out there struggling with food or with hunger. Cold will kill you. Hunger can kill you. These aren't things that, these aren't overcoming giant walls that we have to do. These are small steps that we can do to not just save a life, but save respect, help people. And again, it's not like we're asking you to do anything outlandish, anything that's, gonna, we're not asking you to give us your boat or your land or anything like that. We'll give you a tax write-off. Well, no, we can't. But the thing is that all we're asking you to do is, you know what? You see someone suffering. I don't care if they're black, white, yellow, whatever. One race, the human race. That's it. All right. When we get that in through our thick skulls, Republican, Democrat, none of that matters. What matters? One race, one human race. Everyone is a life that they're out there, and we're letting them go just because of pride, because of selfishness. So, Alan, I would like to offer you any last little things that you would like to add. I love your story, brother, and I really hope that we're able to continue to push you forward, because I think that what you're doing is, quite frankly, I think it's one of the most special things I've ever heard. So, I really want to make sure that we're getting the word out about what because again, you're trying to get people to come together.
Well, no, I appreciate that. I have to thank you. Cannot leave without saying thank you again to both of you for allowing me to be here. And Mr. Z's putting together an incredible platform. He's very humble in what he says. He helped me align my thoughts, and it's a work in progress. There's a lot of continuous connections that I'm continuing to go, because like you said, Mr. Zach, it's not about me, it's about we. There's so many connections that we have yet to come. There's a humanitarian platform that's actually on the site that Mr. Z built. It was um, uh, with the BJ Kelly on the humanitarian about that's where I got the concept of going beyond Christmas. So check it out when you can, folks. But yeah, I just want to leave by saying let's continue to just move forward and continue to think of your fellow men and women and child, because you're right. It's about one human race, changing the world, no matter where you come from and what part of the world you reside in.
Well, again, Alan, great job. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for your service, and thank you for everything that you fought through to make sure that you're still here with us, because, we need more people who have the strength to help other people stand up. And I think that I give you all the credit in the world for that. So, Mr. Z, any last words?
Yes, I like to give a few shout outs, if that's okay. Of course, first and foremost, you, brother man, Mr. Zach, who is helping us come together with the community pay it forward program. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to meet Specialist Alan and many other contacts you introduced him to. And I've always wanted to do something like this for myself. And why not be a symbiote and just latch onto you and connecting other people in a way that Specialist Alan Holmes said, it's not about me, it's about we. And another big shout out to Specialist Alan Holmes. He's definitely an American hero that I hold very high regards for. Definitely someone that is very grateful, like yourself, Mr. Zach, very grateful when it comes to connections. And it's not just, okay, what can I sell? It's about, how can I help you? And I've never heard such a concept of being the human search engine. And I feel very comfortable knowing that there are people like Alan, Specialist Alan, who's helping musicians, nonprofits, and like you too, Zach, that's helping them connect to where they need to be as a master connector. And not everyone deserves that title to be a master connector, but you both are definitely master connectors. Like Detective Trevor Gibbs, uh, he understands ADA compliance, but he knows a lot more than I do when it comes to ADA compliance, EAAs, and compliance all over the world. I just focus in the United States. He does GDPR compliance, making sure your cookies are up to date, and many other things. And I'm learning a lot more about ADA compliance from the detective himself, or should I say the web detective, Trevor Gibbs. Definitely a huge power partner like you two. And can I just slip in one more shout out for
Please
someone
do.
who is I'd like to also give a huge shout out to Joe Cool from the Independent Brothers MC. They are a nonprofit organization that's all about bringing together and writing. They have veterans. They have people who are very passionate about just living the ride, not just hey, we're the gang here, and you have to move out of our territory. Very humble group, and what I really appreciate about what Joe Cool is doing with his organization is all of their profits and all the donations that they get always goes to St. Jude's Children's Research
Yeah.
Hospital, and that's why they're doing it in the first place. And if you'd like to learn more about their cause, it's www.independentbrothersmc.org. Really cool people. Joe Cool, he definitely deserving of the name, and I believe you two have had the pleasure of meeting with Joe Cool, and I'm just honored
Yes,
to be a part of this community.
I
So
met
thank you all.
I met Joe. Awesome,
Awesome.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yep, the very, very good guy. Once again, it's one of those things that it touches my heart because, well, it's the motorcycle world, and that's kind of what I do. So, but one other place that you can go to find out more about the Independent Brothers is go to Community Pay It Forward because they are a mission partner. If you utilize the services of either Alan or Mr. Z, they will donate referral fee to Community Pay It Forward, and 80% of that referral goes to people like Independent Brothers that help them do what they're doing. So I want to thank both of you gentlemen very, very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And I want to let everybody know that what, although I'm sitting here, I have to take like a 3-minute break. Nature's calling, and then we're going to start segment 7. So we're moving along, but when but when we get back, we'll be talking to Les Simpson and his wife. So
Nice.
we'll see you in just about 2 minutes and 40 seconds or so. So thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Everybody have a great day.
God
Thank
bless
you.
you both. Thank you.
Thank you.